coach Kate Hay really emphasized how much the Cardinal want to avoid the Tar Heels in their half-court defense. Time now for today's starting five, brought to you by Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. North Carolina rolling out the same starting five. One thing to note, junior guard India Navarre playing her former school. She competed for Stanford her freshman campaign before transferring back home, a North Carolina native. For the Cardinal, the same starting five for the 8th consecutive game featuring 3 underclassmen. That is the first time the Cardinal have that many youngsters starting for that long since the 2018-2019 season. And tip-off is just moments away. Interesting to watch the youth on display in the development this season for the Cardinal. Battle for the opening possession. A little bit tricky. Carolina will have the first go at it.
And with the youth on the Cardinal side, they're playing against a very experienced team, one of the most experienced in terms of games played in the entire country.
Feeding inside to Gakding. Nice pass out. Kelly's 3 offline.
And you see the great box out initially from Stanford, and here's where they want to get going on the pace. Clardy, though, slows it up.
This North Carolina defense also going to be good in transition, which should make a very interesting matchup. It's not just their half-court defense. They've been able to slow things down throughout the season, which is why you see so many low-scoring games.
Yeah, lowest points per game in the ACC, lowest opponent field goal average. They do everything on the defensive end.
But how about that? Nunu Aguirre doing everything on the offensive end for the Cardinal.
I love her game. I believe if she can have a 20-point, double-digit rebounding day, I think that this Stanford team could pick up a win.
Usby kicking out. Navarre beyond the arc, too strong. To your point, though, Kelly, about the Cardinal, Aguirre has been exceptional. When you look at the improvement, she's top 10 in the ACC in scoring, rebounding, and free throw attempts. And it's a 3-point party here to get the Cardinal up 5-0.
Oh, best way to start for the Stanford Cardinal. Get inside play going and then go ahead and drop down a 3. Both these teams average about 8 threes a game.
Sophomore Chloe Clardy getting in on the action on the other end. It's the interior scoring, getting it done as Gakding gets the Tar Heels on the board as that one's batted out of bounds. It will stay here. This North Carolina team having an impressive season under head coach Courtney Banghart in her 6th season at the helm. 19-4 coming in, 7-3 in ACC play. And you look at the losses, they're all quality losses to a second-ranked UConn team early in the season as that 3 won't go. Board brought in by Usby. To a top 25 Georgia Tech team, Notre Dame, and then Florida State last week, and they are now a top 25 ranked team as they deserve as Navarre splashes in the 3.
And picking up that ranked win on the road at Cal was also really important. Now they're second already this season.
65-52 win over the top 20 California Golden Bears on Thursday for this North Carolina team as Bosgana's drive is a little too strong. This time it's the Heels pushing pace. Navarre thought about it, gets it to Usby. Kelly back to Navarre, little pump fake there. Navarre driving up off the glass, no. Second chance, yes, from Gakding.
Gakding will be active on the offensive glass. She is so good at reading the ball, grabbing it off the rim, and putting it back in.
Rebounding battle, also one to watch in this one. These two teams about even in the ACC in terms of boards per game, but
I think that's a good point, too, because you cannot start your break unless you get that board. So I believe this rebounding battle is going to be essential in this one.
5 to shoot, and the mid-range rattles home. Nunu Aguirre really taking the reins for the Cardinal.
Both teams shooting 50% or better, 60% right now for the Cardinal.
Hot shooting start for both sides as Usby tries to battle her way inside. Going back to the rebounding battle, though, this Cardinal team is really good on the glass. They're plus 5.5, and the rebounding margin is 4th best in the ACC.
But that's what UNC does so well, turns you over. 21 points off turnovers this UNC team averages.
Usby facing some pressure on the other end. Kelly's 3 won't go. Fight for the rebound leads to a foul called. Norman's going to go against Aguera for first and the team's first. As you take a look at Stanford, once again trying to extend their 36 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances into a 37th in the first year under head coach Kate Pay. 11-9 record, 3-6 in the ACC. Earned a huge win over Florida State, which did get bumped up from a quad 2 win to a quad 1 as a walk is called to a turnover forced here by the Cardinal defense.
Yeah, that's going to be an important win when you think about the committee and those quad 1. Those are essential wins when you're trying to make your case for an NCAA appearance. And remember, that's something that Stanford desperately wants. But the rest of their schedule, Kylan, is really a pretty good road for them to pick up some good wins. Hopefully tell the NCAA committee that they deserve to be on that top 64 NCAA team.
Ijiwoye grabs her own board. Second opportunity here for the Cardinal, and certainly they have a case, and they have a great and important stretch in front of them as Dimitri knocks it down in the mid-range.
Stanford has been impressive in their offense. That was probably the longest set that we saw them run. They're trying to get shots early in the shot clock, but that was a great look off the screen.
Mid-range rattles out, and there's a foul called. Crowd here at Maples doesn't like it.
You do not want foul trouble to become an issue. UNC is incredibly deep. They average 25 points off their bench. Stanford does not have a lot coming in. That time, yeah, that's a good call. Dimitri pushing her out. Again, Gotting will not stop. She's relentless on the offensive glass.
That's Dimitri's first foul, the second on the Cardinal. Now, Brooke Dimitri is a player that head coach Kate Pay says has really developed, and one area is the physicality down low. She's going to have to bring that going up against this young woman, Maria Gotting, as her turnaround won't go.
Yeah, she's going to be exhausted at the end of this game because of the physical strength of Gotting inside.
Meanwhile, an O-board brought in by Usby leads to a foul called, the first one on Shea Ijiwoye. 13th foul here on the Stanford as well, something to keep an eye on in terms of defending this Tar Heels team, but still doing it in a disciplined fashion.
Yeah, and three very notable players, Ijiwoye, Aguera, and then Basgana.
Couple of substitutes coming on here for the Cardinal. Mary Ashley Stevenson checking in, and Gotting gets it done down low.
She's really difficult to stop. You've got to do it on the front end. You cannot let her get deep position inside.
Stevenson with the ball now, the Purdue transfer, a Big Ten freshman of the year according to the media one season ago, an all Big Ten honorable mention selection as she gets caught up there with some pressure by Gotting. Brief pause in play after a timeout is called. 9-9 the score. Both offenses off and running here at Maples. You can see he would go on to play 156 games for Minnesota, become a 4-time Pro Bowl selection, also played in 3 Super Bowls. The accolades are quite impressive. And you said you grew up going to Stanford games, Kelly.
I mean, I was at the Stanford campus plenty, going to watch football games. To be honest, I think I only went to 1 basketball game, but I was here this morning, you know, coming onto campus and just reminiscing. Both my mom and dad went there, my grandfather, my brother. So, I mean, if it were not for Stanford, technically, Kylan, you and I would not be here. This is together. We would not be here together. This is where my family met, and I mean, just so proud of my dad and all that he was able to accomplish on the athletic field and beyond, certainly.
Heel gets called for the walk, turnover for the Cardinal. Now, my question is, you're the only outlier. Why not Stanford, Kelly? The people need answers.
There's a story. I wanted to go desperately. Tara never recruited me at all, and I did get a call later, but had already committed to Notre Dame, and it was a great path. I'm happy.
You ended up winning an NCAA title, so I guess it worked out for you just fine.
It certainly was, but I am still, in my heart, as a young girl, has always been a Cardinal fan.
Oh, we love that connection. Clardy loves driving to the basket.
And I think that's going to be important. She has been playing really well as of late, and I think she could be the X factor today because you know what you have from a couple different positions, but Clardy stepping up is big.
Donarski stepping up in the mid-range ties this one up.
Talk about playing well lately. 3 straight games with 5 threes for Donarski.
Going back to Clardy, though, coming off 2 big performances as well. 14.7 boards against Pitt on Thursday, 22 against Cal last weekend, 7 of 13 from the floor, 8 of 11 from the free throw line, as there is another takeaway for the Tar Heels. Up ahead to Usby on the break, batted away. Big defensive play by Courtney Ogden.
Yeah, it's a big defensive stop right there. Transition defense has to be good against this North Carolina team who does want to push pace. Great job. Good pass, by the way, but there's the defense right there to get the tip. Stays with UNC.
Big defensive effort, and that's why this team is so tough to beat. You see the effort from end to end. North Carolina basketball back into Usby. Benarski around the screen, pulls up from the elbow, and it's true.
And no help coming off that screen at all. This is the best shooter on the floor for UNC. You've got to defend that better.
Usby averaging a team best right about 11.5 points per game, nearly 9.5 boards as well as the feed to Ume, up and in.
Well, with Aguera out with the foul, Ume now an opportunity to get in this game, and that will be important too as we talk foul trouble. First on Gakden inside.
The freshman center, Kennedy Ume, a player that Coach Pay talked really highly of, and speaking with us at shoot-around, just the fact that she brings a little bit of a different look to this Cardinal team because she's the only true center on this roster. When we look at, for example, Aguera, who's a little more versatile, maybe a true 4, but provides that interior scoring as her free throw is offline. She is just a 55% shooter from the charity stripe. You're watching ACC Women's Hoops on the CW, presented by Allstate. You're in good hands.
And to your point, that will be important to have a back-to-the-basket post player, especially when you're playing against people in the ACC that have those bigs that are central inside.
Grace Townsend checking in for the heels, and the corner tray goes. Usby really getting it going here early.
Coming into the season, Usby not known for her three-point shooting, but I'll tell you what, as of late, she's been doing pretty well. Knocked down a couple threes in a game just a couple games ago.
A freshman on freshman battle inside as Blanca Thomas has come in for the heels. You just saw her going up against Ume that last possession. And while it's Usby getting caught up in the lane, gets called for the travel.
And Aguera back in the game.
Aguera with one foul, spending some time on the bench, but does return here with a little over 2 minutes to play in this first quarter. Azgana back in the game as well. A number of the other Stanford starters checking back in, and it's another turnover. A bit of a frenetic pace here in the early going.
Well, it's one thing if UNC turns you over because of their defense. What you do not want to give them are unforced turnovers.
That one against Dimitri. Offensive foul was the call. Usby surveying, batted away by Azgana, out of play. And it's going to be Cardinal basketball. Big play by the senior guard who leads the Cardinal with 33 steals coming into this one.
And right now, Coach Pay subbing quickly. She's just trying to get her players a rest. As I mentioned earlier, they only play about 7. Once in a while, they'll bring in that 8th person for a minute. So she is just trying to keep her team fresh.
Foul called off ball. It will stay down here against the heels. This week on CW Courtside Saturday, it's triple header action you don't want to miss. We'll start in South Bend as Virginia Tech visits Notre Dame, followed by Boston College taking on Syracuse. Then we end the day in Charlottesville as Georgia Tech faces Virginia. It's a full day of CW Courtside Saturday action this week starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, only on the CW. And that quick amount of time, we can go from end to end in this game, Kelly. It does feel like both teams are running pretty quickly.
It is. We talked about pace, right? This is what Stanford wanted to do, but that time Stanford gets an opportunity off the UNC turnover. And
Stanford turns it over right on cue.
Yeah, this is what they have to shore up right now, because you're sitting right now at 6 turnovers for Stanford, 5 for UNC. Just an ugly start in terms of efficiency.
The Tar Heels with 3 turnovers in the last minute and change. They have shot the ball well, though. 3 for 3 on their last couple attempts from the floor. Pull up, no. Second chance too strong from Thomas. Third time not the charm either.
I was surprised she got it, standing down there so little inside the post.
Aguera rises up, no. Showing off her versatility, bringing the ball up the floor, the 6-2 forward.
Just as we were talking about high percentages from the field, both sides missing easy ones.
A little under a 30-second differential here between the game clock and shot clock, and that's a block. Aguirre getting it done defensively, turns it over, and Townsend cashes in for the Heels.
Townsend at the right spot at the right time as Aguirre just passes the ball into her. That was always the number one thing, number one no-no. I remember my coach saying, never save it in under their basket.
Another turnover here for the Cardinal. That foul is going to go against Mary Ashley Stevenson. We cannot emphasize enough, as North Carolina is in the bonus, just how much Stanford needs to get that under control. And they do average just about 14 turnovers per game, but they're at, what, 7, 8 or just in the first quarter?
Yeah, this is ugly. I imagine both teams right now are going to have to talk about turnovers at the end of this quarter.
4 turnovers in the last 3.5 minutes for the Cardinal. Shot clock off now. The Tar Heels looking to get the last shot here before the first quarter break. Townsend weaving through traffic, rises up in the lane, up off the glass.
Perfect finish, uses the clock. Great end for UNC in this first quarter.
North Carolina extending the lead, a 7-0 run over the last 240. But how about this? The graduate student guard getting it done.
Well, they're using the ball screen, gets inside the paint, goes up and over Ichiwoye for the finish off the glass.
Fans inside of Maples getting their money's worth here in the early going, but it's the Tar Heels out and running. An 11-0 run leads to a 20-12 lead at the end of the first. K and Think Pink games going on around the ACC in the coming weeks in this month of February, as once again it's a great cause and great to see teams across the country supporting the fight against breast cancers and other cancers affecting women. Second quarter now underway. North Carolina ending that first quarter on an impressive 11-1 run, while the Cardinal just struggled to maintain control of the basketball with a flurry of turnovers as Bonzgana's 3 is too strong.
Okay, that is Bianca Thomas's 6th rebound already in just 3 minutes of play. That girl has been all over the glass.
The 6'5" freshman center out of Charlotte, North Carolina, as there's a miss in the other end. Usby running, pushing pace here. And off to Donarski from the elbow. Pretty looking shot.
Yeah, there needs to be better ball screen defense right now for Stanford. Anybody coming off a ball screen is getting whatever they want, whether it be a pull-up jumper or a drive to the bucket.
10-point lead now for the Tar Heels, a 9-0 run dating back to that first quarter. But I was waiting for you to bring up post play.
I know, right?
You haven't talked about it enough.
We need it. I did talk about my post there with the rebounds, but a great look as she comes off the ball screen, knocks that one down, does Clardy.
Clardy leading the Cardinal with 7 points, so maybe a little post play, little guard play.
Yeah. We'll give them some play. You know, I mean, my eyes are inside, but we need those guards, you know, to get us the ball.
Absolutely, and the sophomore guard for the Cardinal has been excellent in her second campaign. Another player who's seen major improvements, as that was last touched by Stanford, but it is called Stanford basketball. It looked like it was touched by Stanford, at least from our vantage point, but that is not the call. Next Sunday on CW Women's Hoops, it's a top 25 matchup as 17th-ranked NC State heads to Tallahassee to take on the nation's top scorer, Tenaya Latson, and 25th-ranked Florida State. Broadcast time is Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, only on the CW.
That is going to be a great matchup. A lot of high-powered offense happening in that one.
The Noles with one of the highest-scoring offenses and one of the highest-scoring players in the country in Tenaya Latson.
Oh, and Latson's so impressive, but she's got those players around her that have helped her team so much this season, finally picking up a big top 25 win just recently, and it'll be a good one against another top 25 team in NC State.
Michaela Timpson, another player for the Noles who's super impressive, extremely athletic.
Oh, double-double.
Two-way player, yes, exactly.
Machine.
To your point about Latson having some help, she certainly does. As Usby kicks it out for some help. Kelly thought about it. Get late in the shot clock here. 8 to shoot. No, but a foul is called on Bonzgana.
But again, coming off the screen, getting deep inside the paint. Donarski is too good. She's too good a shooter not to have somebody right in her face. UNC just doing everything they want to on the offensive end right now.
Donarski with 6 points. Now goes to the free throw line, averaging just under 10 points and almost exactly 2 rebounds per game, but she's just 7 of 12 from the charity stripe coming into this one. Donarski, a player who transferred in prior to last season, spent 3 seasons at Iowa State where she was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year and Big 12 Freshman of the Year earlier on in her career, a 2-time All-Defensive Team selection. But you also see the increased confidence she has on the offensive end.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We talk about her so often in the ACC as a shooter, right, because of what she can do. We just mentioned it, 3 straight games where she had 5 threes. But her defense is so good. They will always put her on one of the best players to try to get stops.
Well, that's the thing. When you win Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, you hate to say that maybe your offense gets overlooked, right. But back as a sophomore, she was 17th nationally with 88 made threes.
Wow.
Player who can get it done certainly on both ends. A McDonald's All-American coming out of high school, lacrosse, Wisconsin native.
Of those Midwesterns. We got a couple Minnesota players, which I have not mentioned, and it's been too long into the broadcast that I have not brought up my home state of Minnesota. So Nunu Aguirre at the line, a Hopkins High School graduate, and then, of course, Alyssa Usby, Minnesota native.
I was waiting for you to talk more about Post and Minnesota, the state of Minnesota. That's it. The land of lakes. Aguirre sinks the free throw.
That's right.
Minneapolis, Minnesota native, certainly having an outstanding season, mentioned top 10 in a number of categories, but just the increase in her scoring production from a season ago when she averaged under 5.5 points and under 3 boards per game to averaging 17 points per game and nearly 8 rebounds is truly impressive.
Well, it seems to be a Stanford thing, right? You think about what they did with the area Fenn. Coming in was the player, or the most improved player in the nation last year, of course. Now she's at UNC. Great look there by Ijiwoye all the way to the finish.
A freshman guard who's been called upon in the absence of Talana Lapolo to fill some of the void in the backcourt. I do want to mention the junior guard who had been running the point is not expected to play again this season as an offensive foul is called against North Carolina.
Yeah, great opportunity for this young freshman to get opportunities in the starting position. She's done well. There's the screen. Yeah, Navarre just moving, and Pascana runs right into her. Now Stanford has to capitalize on this.
Navarre called for her first, second against the team here in the second quarter. Pascana around the screen. Pascana can't handle the pass. It will be over and back. Another turnover for the Cardinal. Stay tuned for today's halftime show presented by Intuit TurboTax. Now, This Is Taxes will be joined by the Hall of Famer Tara Vanderveer. You will want to stay tuned for that conversation. We'll have a look around the ACC, some first half highlights, and much more. That's coming up at the halftime break. Gakdeng, though, getting it done up off the glass once again.
We talked to Coach Banghart about any memories she had of Tara, and you know, she was talking about a phone call that she got to have with the great head coach back when she was at Princeton. And I mean, we'll talk about it at halftime, but this woman has had her fingers all through women's basketball. There's a great look at her. So many mentors. Her coaching tree is strong. I mean, just watching the Cal-Stanford game the other day, those are 2 Stanford players that are now head coaches, and she has been instrumental in this women's game and moving it along.
It was interesting as her retirement was announced, Tara Vanderveer's back in April of last year. There were so many coaches from around the Pac-12 who were interviewed and talked about having similar conversations like the one Coach Barnhart mentioned, where Vanderveer was willing to give advice to even opposing coaches around the conference like a Corey Close, like a Lindsey Gottlieb. They both had stories to contribute about getting to coach against Tara Vanderveer and also utilizing her as a mentor. Over at Cal now, head coach Sharman Smith, another one coming from the Tara Vanderveer coaching tree, also playing for Tara as well. Her fingerprints are just all across the women's game, and you know that she's also a big proponent of women as head coaches in this sport as Gakdeng continues to stay hot.
And I think that's what's so special about her is she promotes women, and she did it for so many years. And you know, she also, Coach Pay had a hard first year when she first got the job. And look at the backdoor look. Great job, great backdoor cut from Ijiwoye for the finish.
Freshman getting a couple buckets here in the last couple of minutes. Meanwhile, Navarre, as a foul is called.
UNC doing such a good job on the offensive glass. 6 offensive rebounds now. And there's the backdoor from Bosgana, who finds Ijiwoye for the finish.
Ijiwoye called for her team second here with just under 5.5 to play before the halftime break. Navarre's free throw too strong. Mentioned it off the top of the broadcast, though, playing against her former school. Always a little bit of added emotion, maybe a little bit of added motivation when playing against a former squad, whether it be as a coach or player.
Oh, there has to be. I was just going to say she has to like these rims because she practiced in them very often, but missed 2 free throws there.
Navarre transferring from Stanford, North Carolina after a freshman campaign, was a North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year in high school, once again from Apex, NC. Coming back closer to home was something important to her that she talked about after making that decision as Gakdeng comes up with a big defensive play.
Yeah, she's just been so important to the success of this Tar Heel team because of what she does on the defensive end in particular, leads this team in steals.
Rebound just batted off the hands of Aguera, and Gakdeng continues to lead the charge for the Tar Heels.
I think Stanford's got to keep players down to rebound longer. You only have a couple posts in there trying to get the board, and Aguera, nice look from the mid-range.
Gakdeng now with 12 points, 6 of 8 from the floor. And this North Carolina team also getting it done with 8 second chance points as you bring up the glass. Grant, the freshman guard, getting a little bit hung up, but nice footwork, puts it home.
We had a great conversation with Coach Banghart about Grant and her faith in her. Just a freshman, she forewent her senior year to come early to UNC, and she's playing in late game situations. Her coach believes in her.
Aguera couldn't get the shooter's roll out of play, and we will step aside for a quick break. The Cardinal with some work to do. They trail by 8 here on their home floor. First down low, leading the Tar Heels with 12 points. And you pointed out, Kelly, do you send more players to the glass? Like, what exactly is the counteraction to that?
Yeah, there's got to be more emphasis on staying for the rebound, right? Because that has to be the beginning of your offense. Secure the board and then get down the floor.
One of the #1 keys that Coach Pay told us coming into this game with 3 to shoot. Bosgana comes away with the board. Trying to get it off, does draw the foul.
First personal, number 20, Lexi Donarski.
The first foul called on Lexi Donarski in this game. 4th here in the second quarter for the team. Dimitri back in the game. On the inbounds finds Clardy. 9 points for Clardy to lead the Cardinal, and it's a nice pass. Foul called as Umi went up with it.
I was just going to say that I am surprised not to see Aguera in this game. I think they've got to do a better job at trying to get her going, but a good opportunity right now for Ume to put some points on the board in her absence.
Something key here is Gakdeng was just called for her 3rd foul, so she heads to the bench, and that could be huge for the Tar Heels in the second half if she remains in foul trouble and has to spend some time on the bench.
Yeah, and if I'm Kate Pay, I want to get Aguera in the game right now.
He's a cop, she's a con, and together this unlikely duo uses their skills to catch criminals. The hit series returns. Wild Card Season 2 premieres this Wednesday right here on the CW. Aguera, meanwhile, sitting at the scorer's table, ready to check in. Apparently heard Kelly Dale talking on the broadcast. Coach Pay did.
I just told her to get in, actually. I looked right at her, and I was like, it's time.
It's Aguera time, folks. Under 3 minutes to play before the half. Get her in the game.
Thomas, though, doing a good job defensively on Ume right now.
Freshman to freshman battle down low has been fascinating. No shooter's roll for Ogden. Gets her own miss. Dimitri comes flying in through traffic. Is called for a travel.
And that is just a pin to the balloon right there, because it looked like an opportunity for Stanford to get some points, and instead another turnover. It's been the Achilles heel all half as Aguera is now back in the game.
Sophomore Courtney Ogden, though, Coming off a couple nice performances, nearly a double-double, 10 points, 9 boards against Pitt. Saw what she can do down low, ended up getting her own miss, and unfortunately the Cardinal just couldn't cash in, as there's a whistle here on the other end.
And I think that's what we're seeing a lot with the Stanford team is these younger players coming in and having a game like that. That's what they're going to need to do if they want to continue having success in the ACC.
Bozgana called for her second foul. Third team foul on Stanford. By the way, they're in the bonus now. North Carolina with 5 fouls as a team. Everyone in the gym screaming for a walk. No call. Grant. Townsend for 3. No. Whistle here on the baseline.
Okay.
It is Stanford ball.
So it was the wrong call at first. Everyone, the gym thought there was a foul on Stanford, but instead that's going to be on Thomas. So they're both going for the rebound again. We've talked about the importance of these boards. Yeah, there's just a hook and hold inside. Never know who initiates that one, though, I will say. It's always frustrating from the post.
Brooke Dimitri now goes to the line here as once again Stanford in the bonus. And Dimitri pointed out, Coach Pay said, has really been developing her ability under the basket. As you just saw her trying to get physical. She averages more than 4 rebounds per game, about 10 points per game as well. But just trying to get her going a little bit after a couple of quieter games in terms of scoring. 5 straight games in single figures in terms of her offensive production.
And remember, this team, not one single player was a go-to player last season. Everyone coming in, it was back up to somebody. And so nobody has really taken on that leadership role. I mean, I guess I'd say Aguera if anybody has, but there needs to be across the board more people that come in and know, hey, I'm going to drop 10, 15, whatever it is every single night to help my team out.
One thing Coach Bay said is that Dimitri has stepped up just in terms of the leadership category, that she's one of the players really taking the charge as the Stanford team lost 3 very experienced players from 1 season ago, and Hannah Jump, who was a graduate student, Cameron Brink, who went on to the W. As that top turnaround won't fall for Dinarski, but the second chance goes. That continues to be a theme here as Thomas gets it done.
That's now 8 points in 7 minutes for Thomas. You talk about effectiveness, affecting your team when you're in the game. That is textbook right there.
Stanford has not scored in about the last 3 minutes. Ogden rises up, splashes in a beautiful looking J.
Well, that's a mismatch too. You've got Grant on you, so you have a couple inches. And I like that decision to stop and pop, finishing with the high release.
Stanford now within 4 here with 1:11 to go before the halftime break. And here they force a turnover, and Bozgana was fired up about it.
Yeah, and you can feel this crowd trying to get behind their Stanford Cardinal. Now just 4 points is the differential.
Thomas called for an off-ball foul, an offensive foul. So big opportunity here for Stanford to get within 1 or 2. Clardy back in the game, running the show here for the Cardinal. Aguera driving on Usby, double team through contact.
Well, when you need a bucket, that's exactly what you want to do. This team, this young team, is all eyes on Aguera. Get her the ball, let her drive, 2-man situation, help comes over, and she goes in strong.
That's one thing that stood out to me about watching Nunu Aguera is her ability to finish through contact and through traffic down low. Really exceptional for a player who did not get quite as many minutes, or certainly not the volume 1 season ago as a freshman.
I love her athleticism too. When she is up in the air, she can alter her body, find openings. She's bouncy.
The one thing that Coach Pay talked about that you wanted to ask about, though, is trying to adjust to being comfortable with being the go-to scorer, the player who has the ball in their hands late in games. That's a lot to ask of a sophomore, Kelly.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially when you're not used to that in the year before. Now, what she is used to that is in her high school days. 2-time state champion. She played with Paige Becker. She was just a young freshman then, but she knows a thing or two about taking over. And Renaya Kelly, though, with the answer.
Another sophomore having an outstanding season. extends the lead back to 4 for North Carolina. About a 13-second differential here between the game clock and shot clock. Clardy pulls up from beyond the arc, misses everything. Not the possession that Stanford was looking for, as they have the chance to once again close the gap here before the halftime break. Shot clock off now. Tar Heels looking for the last shot of the half. Kelly up against Clardy. Kelly pulls up off the screen. You can't go under on Renaya Kelly, and she makes the Cardinal pay. Last opportunity off the glass, and it looked good. No good, though, for Stanford as they trailed by 7 after a long flurry from the Tar Heels.
UNC did what they needed to do to get their shot in and then got the stop on the other end. It has been all UNC in this first half as they are up 7, hit 3 of their last 3.
Classmen in the starting lineup right now that are showing a ton of promise, but still adjusting to new roles. What are your expectations for the future?
Well, I think that the freshmen are doing really well. It's a big adjustment from high school to college. But more than anything, I think that it's the incoming freshmen next year will have a great opportunity. And these young players are getting great experience. But we've got to rebound better.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you. Give us your assessment on this game right now. What does Stanford need to do?
Well, I think keeping North Carolina off the glass would be a really good start. But also, not fouling. And finishing some shots that look like makeable shots.
I know one thing that has changed majorly in the game is there is a tough foul. But one major thing, Tara, that's changed about the game of basketball now is you see the transfer portal. It's much more difficult for a young team to go up against teams that have 5th, 6th-year players. You're putting together rosters via the transfer portal. You've got extra COVID eligibility. Now you add in NIL. Just as you take a step back, what do you make of all the changes that we're seeing in college basketball right now?
As you pointed out, there are a lot of changes. And, you just have to adjust to it. This is the landscape now, and this is what the players, are looking to do. They're looking to have a fit, even if their freshman year, maybe your sophomore year is not a fit. But I know Stanford has 2 players from the portal. North Carolina has several players. That's just what's going on.
And this obviously being a K-Yow game, a play for K game, do you have any special memories? I know you guys knew each other and coach with and against each other often. What are some of your favorite memories of Coach Yao?
One time we were both at the Olympic Center and we both got food poisoning, so we were in the hospital together.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. But besides that, she gave me great advice when I was coaching the Olympic team. And it was really working on our closeout defensively. She was a great coach, a wonderful friend, and I'm happy to be wearing pink today for Coach K. Yao.
We're happy to all be wearing pink to support such an awesome cause. Now, Tara, you mentioned you're very busy in retirement life. You still have an office here in the athletic department, but you're also teaching a class, I believe, called Basketball, a Master Class, real casual. What goes into that?
Well, I just think there's a lot of fans that want to know more about basketball. So I'm teaching a class, Basketball Master Class. I've got fabulous guests coming. Steve Kerr, Jennifer Azzi, Sonia Henning were there, Val Whiting. This is men's week this week, so former Stanford male players are coming to class, and it's been great. There's about 500 people that are in class, and I'm working really hard.
Well, Muffet McGraw was my former coach, and I know she went on to do a little teaching as well, so you guys have that in common, certainly. But my question is, I have quite a few friends who have retired, from Division I basketball, and there's always something that the retired coaches want to do. Have you been able to go on like a vacation? Have you been able to really relax and enjoy this retirement?
Well, what I did was, the first thing I did was have hip surgery.
Okay.
So I've been, 3 months. I'm just getting back into, I think, being able to do the activities I like, swimming, biking, walking my dog a lot. But, it's really exciting to come out and watch the teams play. It's a little bit of a root canal when the team is not playing that well. So right now I'm suffering.
All right, well, Tara, we really appreciate the time. We appreciate and our.
You know, I think the three-point shooting again, especially as you know now North Carolina has just hit another one. Us be now 2 for 2, but I think the outside game has got to start being a little bit more efficient for this Stanford team, because you can't get to your bread and butter, which has been your inside with Aguirre, unless you start making yourself an outside threat.
Well, that's the thing. Stanford has been able to have the inside presence. 3 to shoot here, though. Speaking of Aguirre, she rises up just in time. Gets the shot off and a big bucket for the Cardinal.
On cue, Nunu Aguirre. I love it. I was going to say, my thought would have been to take Gakteng off the dribble to try to get her another foul. Remember, she has 3 fouls in this game already.
Dinarski, too strong. Another offensive rebound. The 10th now for the Tar Heels. Must be calling for it. 8 to shoot. Kicks it out. Navarre wide open. No. Almost batted away is Stanford ball. Going back to the Cardinal offense, though, Kelly, yes, they have Aguirre on the inside, but they've also been doing a good job of hitting the three-point shot on the season outside of that pick game. They shoot about 37.5% from 3, which is top 10 nationally, top 5 in the ACC. But these past 2 games, they just seem to have gone totally cold.
Yeah, they are one of the best teams in the ACC at three-point percentage, and that is despite having quite a few games where they were pretty low in succession. But this though, is going to be a problem. If UNC can get going in transition like that, even after, you know, not a turnover or anything, they got the ball off the rim, up, down the floor, and they were able to put it in.
Meanwhile, just dribbled off of Aguirre, as that's going to be another turnover here for Stanford, which also has been a theme in terms of the issues in addition to the offensive glass. Usby, by the way, in double figures and scoring with 10 points. Again, that 2 of 2 from beyond the arc mark, very efficient. 4 boards and 2 assists as well.
And that has always been the part of her game where that has not been as consistent. She has not been known as a three-point shooter. Usually on the scouting report, you can give her space because you're so concerned about her drive. But adding that, especially late in this 5th year for her, has been really impressive.
Dinarski. Kelly working on Ichiwowe. No. Navarre the board. Navarre. No. Almost another rebound for North Carolina. Stanford reels it in. The freshman Kennedy Ume back in the game. Ume with 3 points in just 4 minutes of play so far.
Ume working hard down low. Can't miss her.
Gets the ball over the top and finishes the play.
That was a perfect pass by Bascana. Just over the tip of the defender, where Ume was able to catch it, turn and score.
Senior guard Elena Bascana averaging more than 12.5 points, nearly 7 boards per game, and 2+ assists because of passes like that. The crowd getting into it as well. Some defense. Great attendance here at Maples, want to mention. Usby from the top of the key, and it's true.
She is 3 for 3 from the three-point line. You got to play that girl as a shooter. I'm loving it.
Usby continuing to expand her game. 13 points, 5 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 3 from beyond the arc, and the largest lead of the game now for the Tar Heels. Meanwhile, some contact off the ball leads to an offensive foul. Ichiwowe can't believe it. Stanford with quite the hole. They trail by 15 here at Maples. Take the court as 17th ranked NC State faces 25th ranked Florida State. It is a fully loaded weekend of basketball only on the CW. Fully loaded here at Maples, as that long J is way short from Sierra Toomey.
Tess Heel with the rebound. Great to see her in the game. Was limited in minutes in the first half, and Ichiwoye out with 4 fouls brings her in.
Ume working down low. No. Navarre pushing. Navarre working on Heel, goes up with it. Ball batted around, lands in the hands of Usby. Kelly rises up too strong. Vazgana the rebound and takes some contact. Heel pushing. Heel pulls up, finds Clardy. Not quite in her shot pocket. She'll reload.
I like this tandem with Ume and Aguirre in this game. I think they got to utilize Ume on the block.
Oh, what a cut. Clardy puts it home.
That's an option as well. Bring Ume up. All the defense shifts up, and Clardy wide open for the pass.
Beautifully done by the sophomore, who now has 13 points. Stanford within 13 as well. Usby. Dinarski. Vazgana got a piece of it. Usby on the drive, no. Aguirre made sure no one else got that board.
Yeah, I like that matchup though. Usby and Aguirre. So interesting to see that way this will play out.
He'll have the transition three. Vazgana's three offline. It'll stay down here.
That has been the way of it in this game for Stanford. Another miss from the three-point line. Now just 1 of 10, and their first attempt was a make, so they've missed 9 straight.
Navarre gets called for her second foul, the team's second, and the Tar Heels a little bit of a scoring drought, about 2.5 minutes, 1 of 7 on their last couple attempts from the field. This is where Stanford, though, has to take advantage by scoring baskets and closing that deficit. Clardy, tough take, foul called on the fight for the board. Foul against Dinarski, that's going to be her second. Third team foul as well.
And just as you said, especially with the UNC misses, this has to be a must-score opportunity right now for Stanford.
Off the baseline, out to Aguirre. Aguirre going to work on Goctane, pulls it out. Heel. Driving with the footwork again and gets the finish. The junior guard making an impact here in the second half.
The open lane was friendly, and great job being able to force the issue and drop it in.
Meanwhile, Townsend looks for the response. Kicks it out. Beautifully done by Usby, and she is heating up from beyond the arc.
She hasn't missed. 4 of 4 right now.
She's been hot. She has not missed. Pass to Aguirre, intercepted. Tar Heels pushing. Grant. And she turns it over. Picked off there by Clardy.
Interesting to see Ichiwoye with 4 fouls at the timeline right now. That's a lot of faith Coach Pei has in her freshman.
Aguirre rises up and knocks it down from deep. Stanford trails by 11.
So the players we didn't expect to be able to drop down the 3 are now being able to hit shots. Usby and then Aguirre.
Aguirre, the 6'2" sophomore forward, shooting just about 34% from beyond the arc. Not at a high volume as Townsend joins the three-point party.
What?
Grab your umbrellas, folks. It's raining threes here at Maples.
Why not? We've been cold for so long, Kylan. I'm just excited that some shots are falling now from outside.
Thank goodness. I was going to have to grab my coat. It had been a very chilly first half to this game, but that is starting to change. Both teams hitting a couple triples here in the last few possessions. We've got a 6-second, 5-second difference here between the game clock and shot clock. Dimitri cutting through traffic, and one opportunity.
Wow, they're going to say that was a made basket. I wondered if that was going to be called on the floor initially. What a great cut. No, that was the right call. Foul and the bucket.
Brooke Dimitri now with 6 points, 2 of 2 from the floor, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. 1 rebound, 1 assist in 14 minutes, as I mentioned earlier. Coming off 5 games in double figures while she averages about 10 points per game. Could this spark a little bit more confidence for the senior forward? Last anyway. North Carolina holds on to the 11-point lead here at the end of the third. Stanford starting to heat up, 3 of 3 their last couple times down the floor. Could they rally a fourth quarter comeback? Era of Cardinal basketball with a lot of youngsters on the squad this season looking for a massive upset at home today.
Yeah, she's going through growing pains, certainly. This is not what we expect of a Stanford team, but with almost 60% of the offense leaving last season, I think that it is very obvious why they're having some of these woes. However, you've got to think with this young group that's coming together and then the number 3 recruiting class in the country coming in next year, Stanford is going to be right back where they were.
Dang, denied by Dimitri. Clardy pushing. Clardy driving, no. Usby the board.
Well, this is an important quarter right now for Stanford. They have got to shore up some things that they've been struggling on. One being the rebounding. Great to see Aguirre get on that board, but going hard after the ball, I think, is something that we have been seeing UNC do. They're going after the 50-50 balls. You can tell that they're playing with a little more intensity than Stanford, and that's surprising because Stanford is a team that plays so well on their home court in front of their home fans.
Heel, meanwhile, gets the shooter's roll. A couple of big baskets here in the second half.
That's important right now because remember, Ejiwoye on the bench with 4 fouls, so Tess Heel and her production in her absence is going to be important.
Stanford cutting into the deficit now in single figures. Donarski coming off the screen. There is going to be a whistle as you saw the contact there. Lozgana trying to get through it.
Ball screen defense has been better for Stanford in this half. We saw in the first half, nobody coming up to hedge, people not even stopping the shooter coming off the screen, so much better there. Obviously, Lozgana picks up the foul, though.
Lozgana's third. She stays in the game here as we're into the fourth quarter. The senior guard out of Athens, Greece. Parents happen to be in the stands for this one. Dang posting up. Townsend with plenty of time, and she knocks it down.
Dang requires so much help inside that paint, so much attention that Townsend was left wide open along the three-point line as she found her.
Can we talk about North Carolina's three-point shooting in this game? Over 50% as Dimitri makes it look easy to the cup.
I mean, as opposed to Stanford, who is 2 of 11, 18%. This is not what we expected coming into this. Stanford is one of the best three-point shooting teams in this conference, and UNC has done a fantastic job on both ends of the floor.
Dang, no, through traffic. Lozgana pushing. Clardy, nice pass. Aguirre denied, though. Usby says no.
That's exactly what we said early in this game, that is what Stanford was looking for, to get the ball out quickly, get up in transition. Aguirre so good at running the floor, but then this is why the UNC defense is so tough, because of plays like that.
Usby leading the team with 23 blocks coming into this game, adding to her tally as there is a foul called. Flying in from behind like LeBron, Kelly. That was kind of ridiculous.
I'll tell you what, though, that girl can run. So don't think that you're going to win a foot race against number 1 in blue, because I mean, along with basketball, that girl has played every single sport known to man growing up in Edina, or it's not Edina, I'm sorry, that's where I'm from, growing up in Minnesota.
Rochester.
Rochester, track being one of them, played for Rochester Lords.
And you just saw on the bottom left side of your screen, Usby tying a program record, 152 games played with this appearance today. Just outstanding stuff for the graduate student guard forward who does a little bit of everything, has a high motor, and All-America honorable mention selection back as a junior, All-ACC rather, second team selection last season, 3-time All-Conference honoree, in fact, throughout her career.
She's 73 rebounds away from being the #1 rebounder in UNC history. I mean, who could have told you that when she came in as a young freshman? Under-recruited.
Wow, and that was the point, exactly the point, as she tried to get the basket on Aguirre. But the fact that she was not one of the most highly touted recruits in her class, yet she has come in here and had an incredible career that'll be amongst the greats in North Carolina history.
Tells you what putting your nose down and working hard will do. She is a self-made athlete, and she has been locked in this Courtney Banghart system. One of the first recruits that Courtney Banghart talked about, said, when I went in to see her play, I knew I had to have this kid. She wasn't necessarily going to score a million points, but I loved her fight, and she is just a dog.
Gakdeng was just called for her 4th foul, so she heads to the bench. That could be a consequential move here for North Carolina down the final stretch. Still over 7 minutes to play. Gakdeng now on the bench with some foul trouble. She has 10 points, 2, and a couple of boards. Time running out here as Heel doesn't get the roll this time. Gakdeng rather with 12 points, 6 boards, 2 assists. Seal off inside by Thomas and a foul called. The hit series All-American returns to the CW for its 7th season. Same heart, same dream, new rivalry. All-American season premiere tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, right here on the CW. Donarski. The freshman guard, Virginia native Lainey Grant. No. Clardy the rebound. Stanford within 8. Make this a 2-possession game, and Boscana's not online.
But really only 2 people, I mean, hardly even 2 people in for the fight for that offensive rebound. I think Stanford's got to go after every possession. There you go.
Loses the handle. Clardy out and running. Clardy draws the foul. Donarski committing it. It's going to be the 3rd on Donarski.
It starts with a defensive stop, and then Clardy goes in strong right into the body of Lexi Donarski.
Clardy with 13 points. Second leading scorer in this game for the Cardinal. Goes to the line for 2. The sophomore guard averaging just under 9 points and 3 boards per game. Mentioned coming off a couple of big outings, though, was a Pac-12 All-Freshman honorable mention selection last season. A key player off the bench, but averages 2 points and 1 board in under 10 minutes per game.
Wow.
So you just continue to talk about that theme of players stepping into new and much bigger roles this season for Stanford. But to see the kind of confidence and aggression she has when she drives the basketball, that's impressive.
I love it. And this is what you want to. You want those players to be playing their best basketball this time of the year, right? The calendar has now officially rolled to February, and that is the hope for every coach, is that your players are at their peak performance.
Brief pause and reset here as the shot clock did not start as the basketball went in play. So brief pause just to get the clock situated. It also goes to the point that Coach Pay told us for Stanford, there's still a lot of hope, there's excitement, there's promise, there's great vibes in the gym, although she mentioned outside narratives can start to creep in terms of, hey, this is a Stanford team that's accomplished so much, that's typically puts together more wins in the season. Maybe they're not getting as many results as they typically would see, but they are very excited and very confident about the future of this program.
And I think, too, to that point, is the Stanford fans loving the call here. I think, too, I think that part of it is now over, right? Everyone came into the season wondering about Stanford. Okay, now they've racked up more losses than people are used to. Now people know that they are a team that is beatable. So what does Stanford do, right? This young team. This is a great time to say, you know what? Forget about that. Let's stop playing our style of basketball. Let's not care about what the naysayers say. Let's join together and let's show the ACC what we can do, especially in the second part of the season, which is a lot of winnable games in front of them.
Well, Stanford is showing what they can do in this game as they're now back within 6. There was a whistle on the floor, a pile up there under the basket, and that's going to be a foul against Thomas, her 3rd, and the 4th team foul here in this 4th quarter. So another turnover here that Stanford has forced.
Nunu Aguirre, the recipient of what looked like an elbow. And now Stanford will have an opportunity to cut into this lead. This is a big possession.
3:17 scoring drought for the Tar Heels. Clardy finds Bosgata. No, so close.
Those are the ones you just want back. And then Donarski wide open in transition.
Opts to get it inside to Usby. Navarre pulls up from the elbow. Bazgana the board. Bazgana pushing. Finds Dimitri. Oh, great fake. Bazgana dials it up from 3, and it's true! Stanford within 3. Single possession game here at Maples. The Cardinal come roaring back in the fourth quarter.
Great ball movement. Giving up the good shot for the better shot. Dropping it in. Bazgana, the big 3.
Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years. Dang, back in the game with 4 fouls. Tries to go up on Ume and gets a whistle. North Carolina ball on the baseline. Dinarski for 3.
Stanford needs to use this possession as Rennia Kelly picks up.
North Carolina led by as many as 15 with about 4 to go in the third quarter. Bazgana's try won't go. Ball batted around. Second chance goes. And one opportunity for the fantastic freshman, Kennedy Ume.
And finally, Stanford uses the offensive rebounding to their advantage. It's been all UNC this game. Staying tough on the glass is Ume. Gets the rebound and the foul, an opportunity at a 3-point play.
Coach Pay really excited in talking to us about Ume's contributions off the bench. Has been getting more minutes recently. 4 points against Pitt. Just 1 against Cal, 6 points against Duke during this last stretch of ACC play, and she has made an impact with 8 points in this one, including 4 or 5 from the charity stripe. Meanwhile, Kelly with the answer. North Carolina back in front.
Tell you what, she knows how to spoil the party. I think she was the one who hit a shot for UNC last time Stanford was trying to make a run. Gotta love those point guards.
Kelly now with 7. Stanford now looking for an answer. Aguera going to work. No, must be the board. Intensity building here on the farm. The crowd at Maples making some noise. Kelly gets tripped up, still dribbles the basketball somehow. Excuse me. That was ridiculous. And she pulls up and hits this. Oh my goodness. North Carolina extends the lead. But how did she do that?
I don't know. I have no idea. She's putting on a clinic right now.
5-point lead.
Wow. Ice in her veins. Just drop that 3 like it was no big deal. Like Stanford's not trying to come back into this.
I was just impressed by the fact that she tripped and fell and kept dribbling the basketball and had the wherewithal to then make a play and hit a pull-up shot.
I'm surprised actually no Stanford defender got on that ball. I mean, I see that on the floor. I'm jumping over it.
Stanford in the bonus. Should mention they're 2 of 10 in their last couple of field goal attempts. Critical final 2.5 minutes to go here. Dinarski gets it up off the glass. Big bucket for North Carolina.
And North Carolina showing us why they are number 15 in the country. They are not rattled at all by this attempt at a comeback by Stanford. They just, possession after possession, are putting in points.
A 7-0 run for the Tar Heels. Ume posting up Dacting. Keep in mind, the North Carolina center is 4 fouls. 3 to shoot. Got to do something here. Throwing it up towards the basket. It does hit off the rim. And the second chance. And the foul. The Cardinal do not give up on the play.
You wondered if it would be an empty possession with a turnover, but finally Ume takes her last step, misses the shot, and Aguera there on the backside rebound for the and 1.
5-point deficit now for the Cardinal with Aguera going to the free throw line. That was another kind of bizarre sequence with Ume somehow getting it off, and Gakdang does exit the game. That is her 5th foul. Mentioned she was playing with 4, so she has fouled out. One of the best players and biggest post presence for this Tar Heels team will not play in the final 133. Aguirre knocks down the free throw. Four-point lead here. Kelly taking her time. Now dealing with some pressure from Clardy. Foul called. A little bit too much there, following the arm called on Clardy.
That is where you have to have some better decision making, because all you need is a stop. Now the shot clock goes back to 20. North Carolina can take more time off the clock.
Usby gets it back to Kelly. This time it's Ijiwoye on Kelly. 8 on the shot clock. Donarski handoff. Kelly around the screen. No. Aguirre runs down the board. Under a minute to play here. 4-point deficit for the Cardinal.
Stanford with 3 timeouts. I was certain that Kate Pay was going to take one, reconvene with her team.
Put the team on my back. Stanford within 2.
And I'm wondering if a timeout was called before the ball was entered and dribbled. I think it was, to advance the ball.
There is going to be a review of whether or not what Kelly just mentioned took place. Did the ball go up towards the basket before or after a timeout was called? Once again, the officiating crew today: Katie Lukanich, Chuck Gonzalez, and Talisa Green. Let's take a look at today's key play, brought to you by Hilton Garden Inn. Hilton for the stay.
Well, just when Stanford was thinking they were getting back into this one, Renaya Kelly showing off her ball handling ability, flies down to the floor. Are you kidding me? Asks for a ball screen, uses it. Defense steps behind, so she just puts it in. I mean, why not?
Renaya Kelly, 10 points, 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 5 from beyond the arc, but apparently can dribble sitting, standing, laying on her back while falling. It's outstanding
all of
level
the above.
Of skill. Yeah, all of the above.
Check E for all of the above.
Stanford, you do that, Kelly?
Yeah, I can't.
Player, you can't?
No, I can't. You don't want to see me dribble the ball a whole lot. I probably was allowed 1 to 2 dribbles, I think, by Muffet McGraw, and then she was like, that's plenty. You hold it. By the way, Stanford has not led in this game since 3.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. I mean, this
game clock,
has been a comeback in the making, down to this play right here. Nunu Aguirre to get Stanford within 2. What a bucket.
38.8 on the clock. So there's no timeout. 38.8 on the clock. 69-67 is in fact the score. North Carolina basketball.
Stanford with 2 fouls to give. We're sitting at 3.
8-second difference here between the game clock and shot clock. Kelly on Ijiwoye once again. Kelly back to Donarski. Donarski on the drive. No. Stanford the rebound. Timeout called immediately.
What a defensive stop by Stanford. Ijiwoye, not only did she defend the ball handler to perfection, she came out, I'm not sure she'll come up with that rebound, but her hand was on it to help Stanford secure it.
In just 2 weeks, the CW becomes the exclusive home to the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Pitch all the pure raw racing that only the NASCAR Xfinity Series brings. The new season starts with the biggest race of the year at historic Daytona International Speedway. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Daytona. Saturday, February 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, only on the CW. Also, only on the CW is a fantastic finish here between North Carolina and Stanford. This would be a massive victory for the Cardinal as they look to make an NCAA tournament case once again. 11-9 record, top 50 in the net ranking. Currently in a lot of projections, they're right one of those bubble teams, maybe a first 4-out team. 1-6 when it comes to quad 1 games, but this would be huge.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Stanford. Obviously picked up that first quad win against Florida State. At the time it was a quad 2, but now they're in that top 25. They're now an official quad 1 team. So getting a second one, and then again, as we've talked about, with a little bit of the light, I mean, it's hard to say that in the ACC, but potentially a lighter load this second half of ACC play. The table is set for Stanford. That's what I'll say, to go ahead and take it, get this win, potentially some more, and hoping to get back in that conversation for the NCAA.
You saw on your screen a moment ago some of the other teams that they're maybe up against are also in that picture. The Iowa Hawkeyes got a huge home win over USC, a top 5 Trojans team earlier today. So that's another team to keep an eye on that bubble. Aguera driving. Aguera puts it up. No! Last second. Ball still pinging around, and then Stanford does get the foul as Kelly brought it under control.
Well, that's the hands I would have wanted it in as well. Nunu Aguera gets the ball, hesitates for a second, goes up strong. Great defense by Usby, who also picks up the rebound. The ball was bouncing around there for a second, though, so Stanford could have gotten their hands on an offensive rebound. But this has been the story of UNC in this game, the way they have dominated the glass.
Let's take a look at today's player of the game, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, and motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. You just mentioned the great defense from Melissa Usby, also 16 points on that 4 of 5 shooting, Kelly, from beyond the arc.
She has been so special because it's not just her shooting. You got 8 rebounds to go along with it. Usby also leading her team in assists. She's got only 2 in this game, but really just 12 for the team. So she's doing everything she needed to do. Came up with the stop on the defensive end there, and then the rebound to secure the possession for her team. This has been Alyssa Usby all 5 years of her career at UNC.
Alyssa Usby, that clutch player, stepping up in big-time moments like that last defensive possession for North Carolina. The graduate student guard forward, as you mentioned, Kelly, came into this game just 79 rebounds away from a school record. You did the math earlier. I'm not going to try to do the math again. Good for you for determining she's 71. Is that right?
Yeah, we're 71. Good job.
Gold star for me today. She's also 31 points away from cracking the top 15 in scoring in North Carolina history. Wow. As you just mentioned, she does so much for this team on both ends of the floor. Well-deserved Progressive Player of the game. Now North Carolina just has to close it out with 0.5 seconds on the clock.
Even if Ume tips the ball right here, that will be game over.
Ball in play, and that will do it. North Carolina remains perfect on the road. They close out what was a tight one against Stanford, 69-67. How did the Tar Heels get this done, Kelly?
Well, it was heartbreaking for Stanford, but it came up on the defensive end. They got the stops they needed. They get the win.
Huge one for the Heels as we say so long from the farm. On behalf of our entire CW crew, I'm Kylan Mills, my partner Kelly Deo. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next time.